with that 4th selection for Rises, while Infamous are going to lock down the Bloodseeker with their 4th pick. So trying to maybe take away some of that maneuverability from the Weaver. If the Bloodseeker hits the Rupture onto him, then you don't exactly get to have a very fun time for Rises on that Weaver pick.
Yeah, and I can only imagine might see a ban coming out from Infamous like Lena, something along those lines, because you're just directly countering the Weaver. This Bloodseeker is going to make that Weaver's life that much harder. Whenever you're low, you can see him. Kikuchi doesn't matter. If he doesn't get that time lapse up, or if he does get ruptured, it's just a little bit too obnoxious for the Weaver to deal with. That's why usually we see that hero not picked up. We usually see a more stable hero in its stead, especially when you don't have first pick, so they just get immediately countered. And Bloodseeker does slot into their lineup pretty well. Viper, again, pretty immobile hero, so you're not really going anywhere if you do get ruptured anyways. But same thing with the Mars, where you just immediately put the Blood right down in the arena. If he doesn't have BKB, if he gets stunned up, then things could get a little bit complicated for the EgoBoys, which should be a very easy to execute lineup. This Bloodseeker really does throw a wrench into the works. And you see them sort of splitting the bans on Infamous. I think they're fearing a little bit of everything getting shifted around. We've seen Alone on the Snapfire. We've seen him basically on the first 3 heroes coming out from EgoBoys. I think we've seen him play the Mars, the Viper, and the Snap. So maybe thinking that they could shift everything around, make it a 5 Mars, make it an offline Viper, make it a 4 Snap, and then they look for a Storm Spirit. That's the only thing I can really think that Infamous are going for with that ban. But at the same time, it feels like EgoBoys, if they are sort of slotting Alone into that Viper, that, yeah, probably ban out a support, probably ban out something that's going to make this Bloodseeker's lane a little bit worse. But EgoBoys, they have last pick. They are going to be able to sort of turn the tables on whatever Infamous go for, or Infamous, they just want to find a stable mid laner, can't really get countered. That's all it is to it.
Yeah, Kunkka and Void Spirit taken away there by EgoBoys. So in terms of remaining options, I think we've seen KXY on the Ember Spirit once or twice. There's still... Actually, I was going to say the Tiny, but he has actually been banned out way back in Phase 1. So the Tiny's gone, the Puck's gone, Lesh and Batrider were banned out as well. So a lot of those options have actually just straight up been taken away here. So you're Infamous, you're going to have to sort of dig into it a little bit. And we do see the Lena come out for them. And that basically has to be a mid Lena for the Infamous side.
Yeah, and on paper, well, it is good versus Viper and Weaver. Versus Mars, it is a little bit risky. Once that arena does get up, if you're not in it, well, I don't think you'd want to be in it if you're that Lena, but if you're on the outside, you aren't able to do anything. You're just able to throw your spells in. You can't right-click at all, so we'll have to see what the Lena decides to itemize for. But versus Viper, versus Weaver, you have that Laguna, you have that burst damage. Because right now, something that Infamous doesn't have is control. Right now, they are pretty much just run at you lineup, hope that your spells all land. And if EgoBoys can sort of move past that timing, maybe this is a game where that BKB first Viper might actually feel okay. Because if you get that BKB off when they go for the Terrorize, when they go for the missile, they're out of gas. They run out of their spells very quickly. So that's where we're probably going to see this Lena go for that Yule Scepter, go for those smoke plays. But up until she gets that, Infamous are kind of low lockdown. To that point, EgoBoys, this is where you do have last pick. You might want to try to get Alone on a hero. And yeah, we're going to see him shift around because I think that is going to be an Alone Sand King. Yep. Okay.
There it is, yeah. Alone will grab it. So that is, honestly, I think a nice switch up for them. They put the Viper at the 5, which doesn't always have the best track record, but I think it's going to do them better than if they put Alone on that Viper mid. So it seems like really an effective shift for them. We'll see what kind of impact it can actually have, but it feels like the Sand King's just going to be able to do more and be more active on in Alone's hands compared to that Viper pick, which we've seen him kind of struggle on throughout this event.
And Viper Pos 5, it is very good versus the Mariano Timbersaw. Well, really, just at those low levels, you're going to eat a lot of harassment. Michael, while he is up on a pretty strong hero being the Dark Wall, and those Brambles are going to be very obnoxious for Kara to deal with, if he can sort of walk around it, not eat too much damage. We see Timbersaws, they have to sort of get that Timber Chain level 1 if Michael doesn't want to get the Shadow Realm to secure those range creep blast hits. And then maybe once we see 2-3 levels get up, at the same time, Viper's really just level timing is level 3, where you have that 1 point in Nether Toxin, you've got 2 points in the poison attack, and that's where Mariano might start to get pushed out a little bit. the same time, alone on the Sand King, we've seen them pick this up, I think, in 3 of their 4 last games, just trying to get him on some sort of aggressive hero, some sort of playmaker, and I love to see it because now pressure's off of King Tekka. You have someone else to pair with the Snapfire. You have someone that's going to be able to make those easy, non-committal plays, and we've seen him lane versus ranged heroes before, so I think he's going to do fine versus the Lina. He should just farm at the end of the day. It is not going to be an ideal lane, but we've seen him play versus the Wind before, so alone, he's got to have a game plan going into this lane, so he's going to get something, and once he gets that blink, then we're going to see him start making those plays, and that's where EgoBoys, it feels like it's a sort of ride or die lineup. They're either their rotations and their spells work out, or they don't, and they're going to fall flat on their face.
Yeah, there certainly is some risk attached to this lineup, but if it works out, they are going to have themselves at a potential advantage against this Infamous side, which I think is really going to be the necessity for them. The last time these two teams faced off, it was Infamous getting a, honestly, relatively easy sort of 2-0 sweep going for themselves. So at this point, they maybe feel like they need a little bit of something extra, maybe something to take their opponents by surprise, and this could very well sort of do the trick for them. So we'll see if it pays off as we get this one underway. Game 1 of our first elimination series here in the Americas playoffs. One of these two teams is going home here, and the other gets to advance to face off against another regional rival in the form of Akori in that second round. So stakes are high as we get this one underway. EgoBoys smoking out here looking for the early ward, and that is a very nice ward. Getting them vision over just about everybody hanging out around that middle lane, so they're not going to be sort of walking into that trap. Rises, though, still trying to sort of hang out here in the east side jungle, maybe looking to see if he can snag a rune, but he is going to run into Michael. Don't think this is going to turn into really much of anything, but now Infamous know that the Weaver is here, and they are just shoving their way over. They actually might want
This is going to be a big fight. The ward, it's let him see everything. They want to start on Gyro, though.
And they get their opportunity.
Oh, they're pinging it.
Homing missile. Coming in onto Alone, so the Sand King's going to have to sort of fall back there. They're not going to have him immediately, and now Infamous pushing a little bit forward. The positioning here is getting kind of...
Yeah, sentry.
There it is.
Yeah. Gave it up. I mean, both teams got the D wards,
yeah.
So interesting.
Everybody pushes forward, looking for vision. Everybody gets vision, but nobody fights, and then all the wards get taken away, and now Rises does steal that bounty rune after all. So at the end of the day, well, at the end of the day, we might actually still have some trouble here, as King Tekka, one hit away, and A is able to bring him down, just charges his way forward, hits the homing missile. His teammates weren't even really all that far behind, but he just charges forward, gets the kill, first blood to Infamous. That, I don't know, really felt like it was going to take more from the gyrocopter to get that, but A knew really what he was capable of, and King Tekka just wasn't quite showing the respect. He didn't actually skill anything either, so maybe with a point in the Rebuke or the Spear he could have saved himself, but didn't actually go for it and does get taken down.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate, and like you said, not getting up that Rebuke, so there wasn't a knockback, but it's just the strength of that Bramble Maze and the Missile level 1. They really do have strong early levels on the Infamous, or on the, on the Infamous side, and A will just run all the way back home. I think he got that last hit, so he's got a fluffy hat and a lot of regen here for Parker, so Tano does need to be a little bit careful, but the Shredder...
Missile, but he's still in a bit of a bad spot here, as A is going to hit him up a couple of times. As you were saying, the Shredder just allowing him to take that missile away so quickly, and honestly, without that stun, there's not a whole lot that this duo can do. That missile is really going to be the setup for the Blood Right, so I'm not entirely sure how much they're going to be able to do if Tano's on point with that Shredder hit.
Well, and that's where Tano has to make a very difficult choice that A will always force him to make. Do you use the Shredder or have to save it for when I do put my missile on you, or do you need to use it to win those trades? And should be able to... Ooh, he messed up and...
Tano's dead. Bloodright's going to hit him no matter what, and yeah, he's just going down. A's able to get the kill, and now King Tekka, he honestly should be fine here. Some body blocks are coming in, but they don't really have enough damage as Parker... He thought about it for a moment, but he's going to back himself away, just focus on the last hit instead. So, Infamous able to strike again. We talked about this in the draft, the fact that A on this gyro tends to try and play so aggressively in the lane, and he's got 2 kills so far, but now... Okay. Tano in there with the cookie stun. A, though, pushing forward again. He's just going to work, but not able to do quite enough damage, and Parker isn't really here to back him up, so A just might want to... Yeah, fall back there. He's got plenty of regen. He'll be okay, but you don't want to go too far forward while your own carry is sort of falling back to control the equilibrium.
And really just a nice small play there. They get to defend their pull. They do end up farming it on the Eagle Boys side, but still you get this wave in a more advantageous position. And if A can keep on getting these missiles off from the trees where they connect sort of on the edge of that tree line, that's where Tano might not be able to hit him up with that little shredder. It doesn't feel quite as guaranteed. And they want to make a play onto A. They know that he's the weaker hero. Bloodseeker has never been short on those base stats. Right now he's sitting at 7+4 underneath the tower. And, okay, interesting cookie. But nothing will really come to threaten this Bloodseeker's life up until maybe we see an Orb of Corrosion or... Ooh, King
They're
Tekka.
getting real up here. A's coming in with the Rocket Barrage, only level 1, so it's not doing a lot of damage, but here comes the missile into the Blood Right, and Tano, well, he destroys the missile, but he's still dropping low. But Parker doesn't want to dive the tower for that one, so they will simply back away. Not before they get that courier, though. And, oh, yep, Spear into Cookie Stun, gonna lock A down. And Parker, I was gonna say he can't save his teammate, but A saves himself. Fairy Fire comes in. He's gonna be, maybe just fine is not quite the phrase, but he's alive, and that's what's gonna matter. So, A falls back, heals up, pops a salve, and the Clarity. He really is just looking to go straight back in as soon as he can.
And Tano? Oh boy, he got a little bit too close.
Jumps into the river, but Parker's so fast. He's just going to run this down, and yeah, nothing you can do about that is the Snapfire. Once he uses the
King
cookie,
Tekka.
oh, King Tekka, yeah. Blood Right will hit. Homing missiles coming in. He's going to pop a Fairy Fire of his own. I don't know if that's enough, though. He's still dead. Good play from Parker. He actually sidestepped to the Rebuke there so that he didn't get slowed up and go back in to finish things off. So Infamous are really turning it on here in this top lane. They've gotten 3 kills here in addition to that sort of first blood play over in the river. So, I mean, again, he just loves to do this. He loves to play this sort of aggressive style on that position 5 gyro, and it's working to perfection so far.
And ooh, I don't think the Mars will be able to follow up here, but it's just continuously making the right decision on how to force out Tano's spells where, okay, sure, we got that little shredder off before the silence hits. You were able to kill that homing missile, but you ate 2.5 rocket barrages. You just died. So Parker is really just having a fantastic start, and this is pretty much the same start that we saw him have the other day, where he was maybe sitting at 2 or 3 early kills and then was just able to get that Maelstrom so quickly. And we'll see what he ends up going for. Right now it looks like he's just got the phase boots queued up, but really there's no going wrong itemization wise on this hero. There are just so many items you could possibly get.
Yeah, really just anything that gives you any degree of damage and or durability sort of tends to work out well for him. As King Tekka, okay, they're going in onto the tower, but A TP's in just in time, so the spear is now going to be more of a defensive measure, but the Blood Right's still going to get thrown down here.
Oh,
Tano,
the snap.
okay, he's able to sidestep it, but he's just taking too much damage here. That Scatter Blast is really not going to be enough to matter, but King Tekka comes in, dropping down the Rebuke. It's still not enough. Tano, he's going to be taken down, and now King Tekka's in trouble as well. Blood Right will be thrown down in front of him.
He's
Michael's
going right
even
into the
rotated in
bramble.
here. Can they get it? Yes, they can. Bramble comes through. King Tekka will fall, and this is just turning into just kind of a shooting gallery for the side of Infamous. They just keep on going in whenever they want. They find the kills. Michael, as you said, did rotate over this time, but at this point, this rotation really doesn't matter. You take a look at the Timbersaw down in the bottom lane. He's got that 0-2-2 build. Rises and Kara aren't exactly going to be able to sort of immediately get in onto him to punish the fact that he's by himself. So this rotation really doesn't hurt Infamous all that much. They secure 2 more kills in that lane, but now Michael maybe in some trouble here. He's run into a lone. He's going to hit him up with the Curse Crown in the river. Looks like everything should be okay. KXY, meanwhile, was actually able to grab that Invis rune down in the south side. So the Lena's on the move here, building up enough mana for the Laguna and rotating bot. So Rises, I want to be a little bit careful. Do they have any lockdown here whatsoever? It's really just the LSA, and
they gotta kill the Viper. He's a little bit too tanky, I think, on Rises, but they have a yeah, they've got the rune or the Sentry.
Okay. Sentry's there. Kara's still dropping though.
Okay,
he will
he's dead.
fall, but KXY is gonna die in exchange, and that's a horrible trade. They just didn't know the Sentry was there. So KXY for Kara, but up in the top lane, A and Parker are able to go in again. They've taken down King Tekka for the 4th time. I was gonna say 3rd. Wow, I did not think King Tekka had died that much, but 4 deaths in about 7 minutes here as Infamous, they lose their mid laner, but they're able to make up for it with kills elsewhere on the map.
And really, the biggest problem right now for EgoBoys is that you can't spare anyone. Everyone needs to stay in their lanes for the time being. If anyone comes to help top, it's got to be the Sand King, but you're really not going to see him make those moves up until that Blink Dagger, or if he's able to get a Lucky Rune out from KXY, but I really don't think that should ever happen. KXY should always have that ability. And once KXY gets his Yule Scepter on the other side of that coin, he is going to be able to just brute force you down. He might even just sync up with Mariano once Mariano hits level 6, so that way you can maybe get that tower. And actually, Mariano can dove bottom.
Here.
It's a lot of damage, but...
Okay. 50 HP or so remaining for him, but he is able to fall back, but that is going to shove him out of the lane, so Rises has created a little bit of space for himself, and that is going to be the silver lining here for EgoBoys. Rises is still doing relatively well here, 49 last hit, second highest net worth right now, so the other lanes maybe a little questionable, but...
Parker's level 7, oh boy.
Rupture thrown down onto King Tekka. They want in for the kill. He's not dead yet, but yeah, he's not going to be able to get very far. Tano, meanwhile, I don't know about this one. Alone is coming in, so this is going to act as a little bit of a bait, and they do have the Epi, so maybe they can make something happen, but the Cursed Crown is going to come in. That is going to prevent him from really chasing any further. Wait, he didn't actually get it. He didn't get the Epicenter off. I think did he just cancel it himself, or did he get stunned? Either way, there's not going to be any follow-up damage now, and Alone's going to go down. They do get A, but this isn't going to be worth it. They've lost Alone. They lost King Tekka. Tano should be taken down here as well, as long as Parker just keeps on chasing. And
you can outrun the spear. Yeah.
There we go. Gets the kill. And now King Tekka's going to get stunned up by the Curse Crown. Bloodright dropped around him. I don't know about this one, Parker. You don't have a whole lot of HP. Now might just be the time to back off, as he is going to sort of fall back here. But elsewhere on the map, Kara was at least able to get a kill there on to the Timber Saw. So they do find a kill. They get that and they get A, but I don't know. Losing 3 in that top lane still just really seems to be putting more and more momentum into Infamous's hands.
And that's something I feel like we always say with this EgoBoys lineup is, okay, they're not doing so well in the side lanes, but Rises, he's doing all right. He's able to make something out of his lane, and this is when he can actually make these rotations to Parker's side of the map, is when he has to maybe choose between 1 or 2 spells, and he will just sort of give himself away. But if Rises can get active, if he can be that sort of other side of the coin, where the safe laners now are just going to completely swap, they're going to start dodging out, that's when this game is going to get a little bit more complicated. But unfortunately for EgoBoys, unless they're looking pretty deep in for this Lina, looks like the smoke attempt isn't going to work for them.
Yeah, they are at least taking that tier 1 tower up top, or at least attempting to. The problem is, they're losing their own tower elsewhere on the map. So this is looking like it's going to come out to pretty much just a trade, but in that middle lane, KXY is going to get jumped in on. They hit him up with the burrow into the epicenter. The LSA will be dropped defensively, but I don't know if KXY survive. Oh! Nope, still not enough. Good play from Michael in there with the Terrorize, but that little bit of Sandstorm damage was still coming through. KXY does get taken down, but I mean, credit to Michael. He tries to make the hero play, and he gets pretty close.
Here they come bottom. They have the arena and the kisses.
Kisses deployed. Arena not coming down just yet, but we do see Alone TPing, and the problem is he just used his epicenter in the middle lane. He actually cancels that TP as well, so he's not going to be here. And now Infamous will turn. They throw down the Bloodright into the Brambles. They're going to try and take down King Tekka first, as they are getting onto him on the back line. Mariano wants this kill, will be able to get it. Now they'll turn their attention to the 2 supports, as the call down is going to come through for a little bit of extra damage. Kara will fall. Tano dead as well. Alone. Well, he's here, but it's a little too late. Now he's in trouble. Okay, alright. He does get that Bloodseeker, so that is slightly more valuable. I don't know if I want to say worth it, but they're at least able to salvage something with that kill.
And you are able to finish that Blink Dagger now alone because of that, but that is just Timber City. We just get to see it there for the first time. Doesn't even have a point in the Whirling Death yet, but just so much damage. Not much you can do. He's actually going for that Atos build just because he's playing versus a Viper. He's just trying to be as obnoxious as possible. And it's very unfortunate. I think if King Tekka was the one to TP in first, then you have a much different situation. Then you're able to get those 2 heroes in the arena, a little bit more control for those kisses, where instead, again, King Tekka, it's struggling to find any play on the map. And once he gets this Blink Dagger, it's going to get a little bit easier, but really it's the plays up until that Blink Dagger that matter so much more, and seeing King Tekka 0-6 and 0, it just feels pretty bad.
Yeah, at this point, that Blink Dagger is sort of just a pipe dream for him. He's over 2,000 gold away, so his net worth kind of abysmal right now. They really do need to maybe take some time to try and get him back into the swing of things, maybe giving a little bit more farming priority. The problem is, if you do that, you're taking away from Alone, you're taking away from Rises. So they need to try and find a little bit of extra space that they can then allocate to that Mars so that he can get that sort of item online. Because up until that BKB on the Mars, you really are seemingly relying right now on Alone to initiate and maybe Tano with a cookie in the right situation, but those are not exactly the widest assortment of options for that EgoBoys side, and I mean, they need to try and get more active right now. It's 15-5 in their opponent's favor, and we do see Infamous going to be smoking up here. KXY and the two supports on the hunt. We'll see what they can find. They would need to get into the sort of west side jungle, that triangle area, if they really want this, but they can get in. Rises is here. Can they hit him up? No. Not really. There was a Yules on KXY, but they couldn't quite get close enough. So Rises should be backing himself away, and now his teammates actually rotating in here as well with a smoke of their own. So this could turn into a much larger fight as that courier will fly overhead. Nobody's going to be tempted. They run in onto Michael instead, but he did get down the Shadow Realm first. That doesn't matter for the kisses, though. He's still going to be taking that damage, will still go down, but Michael is going to sort of sound the alarm. His teammates realize now that that's a big rotation coming their way, and they do clear out in time.
And up with the Sand King, the biggest issue with it is how are you going to get these kills, these pickoffs into towers? You don't really have that sort of in your lineup. That's something you're really going to need to wait a very, very long time. So while it does feel like this top and bottom tower really are forfeit, those mid lane towers are going to stay for a very long time. I don't really see how EgoBoys is able to make that break. They don't really have that forcing move, even though you do have this Blink Dagger on Alone. I think you're really going to need to wait. Maybe once he has that second level in Epicenter, then we might be able to see him have enough damage. But now that this Yules is up, it's just the perfect tool for Infamous. It's going to throw so many issues into them. And okay.
Quick and easy
Just
kill.
goes down.
Can they turn that into anything, though? As you said, sort of their pushing power is maybe not fantastic right now, but they're pinging out that tower. Tano doesn't have the Shredder up for about 10 seconds, though, so they're really going to sort of struggle with this, but they're getting damage in. That's going to count for something. Nobody here for Infamous right now, as they're not really looking to defend it immediately, and actually, they don't have a glyph here either. I don't think they would glyph the tier 2 anyway, given this sort of circumstances, but it's not even available, and EgoBoys should know that they have an opening here, as long as no one actually TPs in. But we do see A making his way back into the lane, and the Gyro wouldn't TP, yeah, there it is, wouldn't TP up here by himself. He has to know that there's reinforcements coming. The Timbersaw's TPing in, and we see Parker making his way over on foot, but they're not going to be able to hit up Tano in time. That homing missile eventually will connect. It's just, it's going to be so far away that it will not matter.
Yep, it's a good play from EgoBoys. You make Infamous come back, you break the tension. Really, the only hero that has to come back is that Timbersaw. So I'm surprised that they didn't try to get a little bit more active out on the map, but they were convinced that EgoBoys were going to look for a fight for them there. But instead, you just force them all back. You get to farm a little bit more on every hero on the EgoBoys side, work even closer towards the Blink Dagger. King Tekka, he's gotten to just farm this mid lane for the longest time now, so only being 400 or 500 off. And at the same time, Rises is more or less unaffected because nobody has really come up here to deal with him. The only hero that really gives him any threat is going to be that Bloodseeker, because once he has the Sange, and I believe he has it now. Ooh, A. Okay, interesting.
All down kind of forces Rises away. The homing missile connects as well, but I don't really know if they can do this. They've got multiple heroes coming in, but Rises is already backing away, and see the rest of EgoBoys kind of making their way over, looking for the fight. They've smoked up here, hoping to get in from behind. Michael, though, close enough to sort of pop that, so this isn't quite going the way that they want it to, and at this point, they can't really break through mid because the tier 1 tower is still there. So really, that ramp was the only option they had. They back off. The problem is, Rises, he's still in here. Dual Scepter coming through into the LSA. Do they have...
no!
Oh, wait, what? Wow. That's a bit of a misplay on their part. Rises is able to get himself out, and oh, he's running into another sentry ward, though. That's actually, they just straight up see him. They don't even need the sentry there. So Rises does get taken down. Looked like maybe he could make it out after that sort of initial setup is maybe not the greatest sort of timing from Infamous, but they're able to get him a second time, and Rises, I'm not sure if he was still expecting that backup from his teammates or not, but it didn't really work out for him.
And it's really just nice ward, getting it up on the cliff, seeing exactly what was happening. For a second there, I thought he was going to just throw a swarm into the trees, CA, and then decide to back up, but again, he falls prey to the Lina. And with that Sanj, I really thought he would be out of the sort of danger zone, and he really is. But it's just the combination of Timbersaw, Gyro, Lina. They bring the exact right amount of heroes, and Parker very simply just sits mid and Blood writes out the wave. So they get no counterplay across the map, and Alone was able to finish off those boots of travel, so we will see him get a little bit more active, but it feels like he's not able to really make space for his team that much. He's trying to maybe make a cute play onto Michael. It'd be assuredly a kill, but then you're using your epicenter on a 4 position, and this is what I'm worried about. That we're starting to see the Ego Boys that we've seen pretty much all tournament, where they get a little bit too comfy, they farm a little bit too much on their side of the map, where Infamous, they're kind of being able to play in 3 lanes at the same time while still able to make plays. So we'll see if they get caught top, because again, this ward, it's seeing everything and rises.
Bulls comes in again.
He needs to get cookied.
There's going to be the blood right into the LSA. Tano not in there for the cookie play, but the Weaver's not dead yet. Okay, never mind. He's down. Laguna Blade will be deployed. Michael gets the kill, and now if you're Ego Boys, you're in some serious trouble here. Kara is going to get run down here to the south. Meanwhile, Tano isolated to the north. So they've taken down both the supports. Now they're in onto King Tekka. Alone, though, he's going to try to go in, but his blink got canceled. Good play from A. In with the damage, and Alone may be able to take the gyrocopter down. No, he's just going to look to TP out. Can they cancel this? They cannot. But they do get King Tekka a little bit further up there in that jungle area. So they're able to get 4 of those kills. Michael has to basically sacrifice himself, but it's a clear-cut teamfight win for that Infamous side.
And this is where sort of the cracks in the blade show, where Ego Boys, they get a little bit too comfortable, they farm a little bit too much, they don't play around their timings, where Infamous, Parker gets that BKB, he says, okay guys, let's smoke up, we've got BKB on KXY and me, I'm gonna go wild, and that's exactly what they do. They find the immediate pick onto Rises, all of that net worth just kind of falls apart, there isn't that save play, Tano's just a little bit too far away. At the same time, so are Alone and King Tekka. You have these blink initiators, and neither one are able to save your Weaver. And, ooh, KXY?
KXY now, he does have the Yules and the BKB,
no
so maybe he can get out.
He doesn't have TP.
In. Alone's actually going to keep him in place, so KXY will just try to turn around. He does get the kill, and now... Okay, he will go down, but here's the problem. Infamous have brought the reinforcements. They're looking for the fight. King Tekka is going to get hit up by the Cursed Crown, and he is not really going anywhere. Mariano's just going to get right in onto him. They throw out the Bedlam as well there for the extra damage. They will be able to find both of those kills. So, overall, 3 for 1 trade. KXY does go down, but I think you're going to be happy with the results. But Ego Boys salvage something. Over in the middle lane, Rises is finally able to get that tier 1 tower mid. That is a tower, honestly, I think that they desperately needed in terms of their ability to maneuver across the map.
Yeah, they definitely needed it, and that was the sort of scant situation where the 2 biggest defenders of that mid tower were sort of tied up. They used a lot of TPs, so Rises is able to make that very easy read, and again, Rises is always going to make these plays sort of where the farm is. He knows he can get the wave, he can get the tower, move out, move back to his Ancients. He really doesn't skip a beat, but your Weaver, we're going to need to wait a little bit for him to sort of get useful. We'll see if he decides to go for that BKB, even though BKB is sort of a trap versus Bloodseeker, because once you pop it, then you just become the sole rupture target. There's no reason for him to ever use it on anyone else, because you use the BKB, you use the rupture. If you have vision of that Weaver, it's pretty much just going to be a disaster. And we're still seeing Ego Boys struggle to make plays, and I think Alone... Here. Yeah.
He got away initially, thought he was going to be fine. He gets into the tree line, and then...
It's the ward. He pings it out finally, but it's just been, what, 3 or 4 plays that Infamous have been able to make because this ward exists up here? I'm surprised they didn't ping it out sooner, because it just feels like it's been so free. Looks like A might be caught bottom, though.
Yeah, they're going to be able to go in onto him, as the gyrocopter will be pinned up to the arena, and Rises will get the kill. So, they do get something there. The problem is... you lost Alone on the other side, so really that's sort of just a band-aid over the wound for Ego Boys. It's not going to be enough to really sort of chip away at the deficit, but it at least gives them the opportunity to push for another tower. They're going after that final tier 1 in the bottom lane, so just trying to make the most out of sort of rough situations here. Alone goes down, you weren't really going to be in a position to save him, so they may as well try and get something for their troubles here, as that tower should fall. King Tekka, sort of just-in-case spear there into the tree line, and I like the instinct, but there was no one actually there, so... better safe than sorry, but now we see Infamous pushing their way into the Roche pit, looking for that first stages of the game, and they honestly should be able to get this. There's really no way Ego Boys get here in time.
Yeah, and they scan just in case, make sure nobody's coming up that hill. Now KXY is an Aegis. He's going to have a Daedalus pretty soon
Alone.
here.
He
And
wants
then,
in.
yeah,
Okay.
coming in.
That's a nice setup with that ult. They drop down the, well, they drop down the kisses as well, but Mariano didn't actually die. He's able to get away with just a sliver of HP, and now they're in on the car. They hit him up with the Rupture, try and push forward. The Viper Strike is going to be there, but it's not going to be enough. Parker will find the double kill, and now they're pushing further forward. Can they catch up to Tano? I don't really think they even know where he went here. They're sort of throwing the blood right to the south, but Tano tried to make his way east.
Ooh.
Michael, though, does get the vision. The Curse Crown will come through. What else does he have here? Bedlam coming out for the damage output. Tano able to fall back to the tower, but I'm not really sure where else he can go. That blood right sort of prevents him from falling further back to his own base, and Parker is eventually able to run him down. Not quite in time to get the triple, but all of those kills do go the Bloodseeker's way, and now up in the top lane, King Tekka is going to get caught as well. Mariano's in there. KXY has the follow-up lockdown and damage, and it's Timbersaw who gets the kill. So 4 dead across the map. Infamous just keep on going here, really not showing a whole lot in the way of sort of mercy to their opponents. 28 kills in 23 minutes. This faster pace just seemingly overwhelming EgoBoys right now.
It's just new Infamous. It's the Infamous that when this does work out, and it's definitely working in this game, all of their heroes are just so scary. And at the same time, if really Alone ever dies, if he ever gets picked off, then you don't need to be scared on this Timbersaw. You don't need to be scared on this Bloodseeker. You just are completely able to run wild because this Mars has just been completely shut out of the game. He's 2-9-2, so Infamous are just able to very safely play in 2 lanes at the same time. I think the big mistake that Infamous could make right now is when you do see Mariano split off from his team. He's going to the bottom lane to play versus this Weaver who's really stuck down here for as long as he can. And once you start playing in 3 lanes, that's where the little openings do start to come. But you're forcing the Weaver back. You're going to be able to sort of play now mid and bottom, get more of these final objectives. You force EgoBoys to the useless side of the map. Without Roche, there's really no reason for these heroes to be up here, but it feels like they need to hold hands. They need to stick together, because if they don't, then there's no chance for anyone to get return kills. So Infamous are just going to continue to spiral this lead up until maybe once Rises gets this BKB, you're able to make a play where if you see that Rupture used on the Sand King, it gets a little bit hairy, but right now, there's just no fear in Infamous. They can just make these plays really without a care in the world. And with the Daedalus finished up on the Lina, it's just the grinder. Anyone who gets too close to her is going to eat so much damage.
Yeah, that transition now into the right-click build really sort of coming into play. The Daedalus picked up first. We see that MKB queued up for KXY as well. So just turning yourself, as you said, into the grinder, that sort of machine gun Lina play as they're going to TP top. They want the fight. That's a lot coming in.
Oh, King Tekka.
Can they actually catch, though? That is going to be the question. They've got that missile in onto King Tekka, but he'll drop down the defensive arena. Stun is still going to come through, or maybe not. Dual Scepter will dodge it, but Blood right now going to be deployed into that Rod of Atos, and yeah, King Tekka's not getting himself out of this one. Unfortunately, he really just didn't have anything left. If you don't Yules off the missile, then you're still going to get locked down in the exact same situation. So, kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, as Infamous are able to stop the push and get themselves another kill onto King Tekka. That's his 10th of the game. He just continues to really struggle to find any sort of momentum here as Kara. Be careful. Bramble's going to be thrown out. The dust will be popped as well, but I think he's okay. Going to be fine. He throws out a Viper Strike there. That's not really going to do anything, but at least to make sure A can't chase any further.
And the biggest benefit of that play top, you force all those heroes back. Infamous, they know that the only way they can throw this game is if they go up high ground, they give too much space to EgoBoys, and they play directly into that epicenter, into the Sand King Mars. And, oh no, Rises. He's getting chained up.
Rises,
it's a good save, though.
Not dead yet. Good play in there with the ult. KXY now might be the one in trouble, but look at that right-click damage. He's just going to stand his ground.
Click down.
Oh my god. Rises is dead. Alone can try once the BKB wears off, maybe, but they see him in the Sentry Ward, so he's got to back himself away. So too does Tano, as he's going to go for the TP out. Can they finish him off? Yeah, Mariano's got the nuke damage in there, so Tano will be taken down. Alone at least is able to make his escape, but they lose 3 heroes across the map, and they don't get KXY. Oh, okay. I believe they should get him now, but that's still just the Aegis, so he's coming back up, and A, he's in position. They've got the air, or not the air, excuse me, the missile onto him, so Alone, I mean, no Yule Scepter. Maybe he can try and just sort of blink himself far enough away where this won't affect him too badly, but Infamous know this is going down. They're going to try and
And
get in here.
Michael,
Michael
perfect
TP'd
TP.
in. Link forward, drops down the Bramble, gets into the Bedlam, and Alone is just going to get taken out here.
I'm so strong, guys. I'm so strong.
Yeah, perfect voice line as well. But yeah, it's just this Daedalus coming in from the Lina. She does so much damage. And even though he popped his BKB, it's why this BKB doesn't feel that great in this game. That wasn't even having to contest with the Bloodseeker at all. Parker was farming during that entire time. He could have really cared less what his teammates were doing. But now you have this BKB, you need to find something, you need to kill the supports, you need to get on the backline. But right now, again, Infamous, they're just fearless. They have a beyond god like Mariano Timbersaw. They're continuing to just kill heroes all across the map. And now they are playing in 3 lanes. This is the mistake. This is where maybe you're able to find these pickoffs when the Sand King does respawn. But man, if they... Oh, and they're pinging Rises out too. They know exactly what's going on here. This is troublesome if they're able to catch him or force another BKB charge.
It's coming in. They want to try it. It's only Michael here right now, though, but he's moving.
Oh, they got him without TP.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
boy. Well, this is going to be a problem. Curse Crown comes in. Bedlam there as well. Rupture will be deployed. Time Lapse does get off in time, but Rises runs directly into a Bramble, and he's still dead. They do get KXY, though, over towards the middle lane at least, so there's going to be a bit of a trade-off, but now Kara will have to pay for it with his life. Mariano and A able to sort of turn that one around, so... I mean, the Karen KXY is going to be incredibly valuable, but now... Oh, now they might be in some trouble. Alone is going to get run down. He is standing under the sentry as Michael...
Ooh,
Whoa, Michael?
They missed.
Okay. Uncharacteristic
And he didn't want to miss
there.
the chakram either, so
strong,
okay,
guys, I'm so
Alone
strong.
is out. And that's the mistake, right? You spend so many heroes to kill bottom that you weaken the other side of the map despite showing those heroes, so you find the punishment onto KXY. It's just EgoBoys need to do that so much more, and those kills need to end up going onto the Weaver. And ooh, Mariano might just be a little bit too strong for King Tekka, but if they can keep dodging out...
Oh,
Okay, he got clipped.
unfortunate, but not dead yet. Blink up in one.
He's got Blink in one, but there's the Thirst.
Oh,
And Michael's not playing.
yeah, Michael's just like, no, we're doing this. We're just getting the kill. So, King Tekka dances for a little bit, but he will still end up dead. That's 60 seconds on the sideline. And Infamous just continue to sort of build up this lead. Really, they haven't taken their foot off the gas all that much, although at this point you got to start wondering when do we see the attempt at the high ground? Do they just simply just wait for the next Roche and try and do it then? Because otherwise,
Tano
otherwise, you're just
alone.
going to keep looking for kills as Tano is going to TP out. Alone, though, hit up by the Terrorize. And I don't think he's getting out of this one. Fear's still on him. He's going to get hit up by the Curse Crown as well, and he will be taken down. Mariano gets the kill. Meanwhile, Rises. Not a good spot for you. Going to have to try and get back into the base, but there's going to be the blood right into the Rupture, excuse me. As Rises will pop the BKB and hold his ground. That's going to push Infamous back for now, but Parker, and he wants in, and so does Mariano. They're in onto the Viper. Kara's going to get blown up immediately. Those Mortimer Kisses, that's not it. That's not going to do enough, as Tano is going to be forced to sort of fall back here, or maybe not. Going in with the cookie stun onto Mariano. This Timbersaw rapidly running low on HP, but he is going to be able to fall back. He still has the active on the Bloodstone if he's truly desperate for regen, and yeah, he is going to pop it there. They know that they have a chance to keep this push going, so he wants to heal up as fast as he can.
Yeah, he's got the flamethrower. He's still incredibly obnoxious, and now Mars, he's got to find something here, but you still have BKBs on everyone. You had to trade out your BKB because, again, you got ruptured immediately, and here we go. Oh, just uses it off. It's so simple.
That feels rough.
And Alone?
Yeah, he's...
Oh, what a
come on.
BKB. That's so good from KXY.
The man has just incredible reaction times. The Yules first, the BKB after, and not a whole lot for EgoBoys to do there. I mean, at the end of the day, their racks are still standing. They lose the tier 3, but that's going to be it. So it's not nearly as bad as it could have been, but I was wondering sort of when we would see that push onto the high ground start coming in for Infamous. They're starting to feel a bit more confident with it now, so if you're EgoBoys, you have to start preparing for that. The high ground defense is going to be sort of paramount for them, but so too will this next Roche attempt. This Roche could very well determine whether EgoBoys can extend the match or if Infamous are just going to be able to sort of push it onto them. So EgoBoys realize that they're moving themselves into position. They don't want to give up control of this pit, really, unless Infamous just straight up take that control from them via team fight.
And this is where their lineup does really feel strong, where you have those kisses in 14, you still have the Burrow Strike, you still have those big team fight ultimates, but that's why if you give up this Aegis, it'll be pretty much game, because you can't kill these heroes twice, and oh, they found the Weaver again!
Rises able to pop the BKB at least, but now the Rupture is going to be deployed onto him. He's trying to hold the
Oh,
time
he
lapse,
doesn't
but
need a time lapse.
he held it too long. He'll be taken down. Tana will fall as well. Meanwhile, further to the south, this is turning into an absolute slaughter. Kara is dropping. He will be taken down by Mariano, and now King Tekka is forced to back off. He got one kill in there onto Michael, but that's really not going to be worthwhile. And the BKB starting to run out of time. As soon as it does, he'll duels himself, but that just means Mariano is in onto him with the damage. The Rod of Atos will come through, and King Tekka will be taken down. Mariano picks up a triple, 4-for-1 trade, and honestly, at this point, I think they're just going to go for the high ground and ignore Roshan. They feel like they have the opportunity and the strength, but I don't think they have the creeps. Where is their wave? It's getting cut by Alone. That's what's happening. So, nice play from the Sand King. He's not going to be able to contribute any further to the fight, so he will at least prevent that push from coming through, and now Infamous look like they're going to turn their attention back to the pit, but Alone, he TP'd up top. This could get a little bit dicey for him.
He's got
If
an
they
Invis
spot
rune.
him.
He's walked past the Sentry Ward as well. If he can get in the pit, he has to
Gotta
guess
time this
though.
so well.
Oh, he's channeling.
Oh, wait, the
Oh,
Aegis
got
has
the
been picked.
Aegis!
Oh,
Oh, KXY.
I mean, that's about as close as you could possibly get. Alone very nearly pulled that one off, but not quite able to make it happen. KXY will get the Aegis cheese into the hands of the Bloodseeker, and Alone does get taken down. Not sure, though, who took the Shard. The Bloodseeker's actually still holding it, so they get everything from Roshan. They take down Alone. He does have a buyback available, though, but yeah, they're going to need it. He is going to get himself back in here, and the good news is the Epi is still available, so maybe they can make a play happen here, but Infamous are just going to lay siege to this. Tier 3 tower already gone. Look at King Tekka, though. TPing himself into the tree line, jumping in now with the blink into the spear stun. So A is going to get pinned to the wall of that arena. Meanwhile, outside of the base, Alone tried to make his move, going in onto Michael, but that doesn't quite work out well. KXY is able to dish out the damage. That machine gun build really coming into play for him, and now I don't really know if they have anything left. Rises is still going to try and fight this out, but he has to fall back to the fountain. Meanwhile, speaking of falling back, yeah,
No, we're
Tekka
gonna
tries
see
to
the
make
juice
it.
here.
That's it, yeah, there it is. GG will be called. A little bit of fountain farming there as Parker and KXY had the stats a bit. As Parker can actually kill him? No. Parker
Just a
lives,
little
not
bit
on
too
that.
strong.
No, Infamous, I mean, just way too much. 50 kills on the board for them in 34 minutes as they just sort of steamroll their way through game one of this series. Just absolutely incredible from them.
Yeah, and they had everything in their lineup to facilitate this gameplay. I think EgoBoys, they really stretched out for that Weaver pick, and then they just didn't ban enough. They had to ban that AA, I think, just because we didn't really know what was going on, but it feels like Infamous's lineup is such an infamous lineup, and they've really made this shift towards this more active, aggressive play over the past 2 days of that group stage, and it really is being more and more effective. And again, EgoBoys, they like to farm, they like to get out of the lanes, they like to have these little victories, but you just play into the enemy team's timing a little bit too much. In Infamous, I think they just played a little bit too clean. Immediately after every BKB, every Atos, after every little tick up, they made a play. Whereas EgoBoys, they got those blink daggers, they were staggered a little bit, they try to get those items, and while Rises is a fantastic player, he is able to get farm pretty much everywhere. He's always able to find something and really sort of sit at those top 2-3 net worths, even in a game where they're behind as they were. It just doesn't matter. You just get counterpicked. You need to get him on something more solid. You need really just more solid play all around. Infamous, I mean, 13 to 50, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to need to make some changes here. They at least get Alone on a more active hero, but that wasn't quite enough. And as you said, Rises needs to be on someone a bit more durable for game two. There were just so many situations there where he's picked off right away. We saw in those last couple of fights, even he's dead before he even gets the chance to really time-lapse, just kind of holding on to that ult for too long. So the strategy does not work out here for EgoBoys in this first match, but they are going to still have at least one more shot at this. Game two will offer them a chance to redeem themselves, try and fight their way back into the series, but they're going to have to hope that A, they can play significantly better, and B, that Infamous won't be maybe carrying over any momentum from this game one victory. So Infamous looking good here as they're going to try and pursue that 2-0 sweep. Meanwhile, EgoBoys, backs against the wall, fighting for their lives, need to win this game, otherwise they will be the first team eliminated from the LootBet Pro Series 6 Americas. So we are going to be hopping into a bit of a short break, but when we return, it will be that second match between Infamous and EgoBoys coming up